Shalom, 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 shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. A peace and salutation to the hopeful elect scattered abroad that's out here doing this work in truth and sincerity. I'm Brother Bach, coming at you with another class. Lord willing, this class is edifying. Today I'm gonna start with this is 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse 10. It says, "Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if ye do these things, ye shall never fail." It's like you fall. Right, man. We have to make our calling and election sure, man. You got to make sure you're doing your videos. You going to camp. You praying to the Lord. Yahweh Shai Shai, asking for forgiveness. Doing the work of the Lord, man. That's how you make your calling and election sure, man. Doing the best you can in this truth. And as I speak to you brothers, I speak to myself first and foremost, man. And if we do these things, we should never fall, man. The Lord will never let us fall. You're not saying, you ain't going to have a couple hiccups here and there, because we're in this flesh. But the Lord will always pick us back up, man. Scripture say, roughly paraphrasing, a just man falls seven times, but gets back up, man. Actually, I'm gonna grab that. I'm gonna go to the book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 24. This is it says, "For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief." Right, man. So when you fall, you gotta keep getting back up, man. The Lord is gonna make a way for you to get back up. Go to the book of Hebrews chapter 6. It says, "And we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope unto the end." Right, man. You got to show that diligence, bro. It's all about being diligent, man. Not when it's just convenient for you, bro. That's not how this truth works. You have to be in tune, doing the work constantly. It says to the full assurance of hope and to the end. Right, man. We're prisoners of hope, man. We hope we get saved. We don't know. Nobody knows who's going to be saved, man. We hope to be saved, I'm going to go to the book of 2 Peter. Second Peter chapter 3 and in verse 17, it says, "Ye therefore, beloved, seeing ye know these things before, beware lest ye also, being led away with the error of the wicked, fall from your own steadfastness." And I'm gonna grab it in the NLT too. It says "You already know these things, dear friends, so be on guard. Then you will not be carried away by the errors of these wicked people and lose your own secure footing." Whew. We know these things, man. We know what's going on in this place, man. We can't fall away from the Lord Yahweh Shai Shai when we know what's going on. It's saying lose your own secure footing, man. This truth is secure, man. You know, it's a strong foundation, man. You know. Let's go to the book of Psalm, chapter I think it's come on, this is Psalms chapter 121 and verse 3. It says, He will not let you stumble. The one who watches over you will not slumber. You know, the Lord will never, you know, bring you somewhere where He can't bring you back from, you know. So like if I said that wrong, but the Lord won't put you in a bind to where you can't come out of, man. You know, it says you will not slumber, man. You know, being that sleep state, man, that dead state. You know, because when you're in this truth, man, that's life. You know, it's like I read it in the NLT, but this is in the KJV. It says, He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. You know, staying down in this truth, man. Read verse 4 says, Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. Right, man? The Lord is thy keeper, man. The Lord keeps us, bro. You know, from harm's way, man. You know, the Lord, has angels watching over brothers, man, keeping brothers safe. You know. I'm gonna go to the book of 2 Peter. It says, this is 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse 5. It says, and besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge. You know, and that it said besides, diligence, man, being diligent, you got to have faith, man. You know, and knowledge, what scripture say, knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Roughly paraphrasing, man. So you have to have, all those quantities, man. Having faith in the Lord. Having knowledge of the scriptures, man. And giving that diligence, man, being diligent. I'm gonna grab that scripture. That's in that at Isaiah 33, man. Brothers always bring that Isaiah 33 out, Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6. It says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord Yahweh is his treasure, man. It's gonna come in handy in those days, man. Later on in Jacob's trouble, man. When you ain't got your sword with you, they ain't gonna, phones, things like that. It's gonna be a real skeptic out here, man. Ain't gonna be no technology for Jake to use, to grab the Bible app or have your sword with you. You bring it out. Nah, man, ain't gonna be none of that. So what that knowledge and that wisdom, gonna be the stability of thy times, man. But the Lord gonna put that spirit on you, man. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 19. It says, nevertheless, the foundation of Yahweh standeth sure, having this seal, the Lord knoweth them that are his. Right, man? The Lord, everything is predestined, man. The Lord already has his elect, man. You know? It says, and let everyone that nameth the name of Mashiach depart from iniquity. You know, and we have the names. You know? You can't, brothers always preaching, you know, you can't be an Israelite just on Saturday, man. You know, and just, you know, this past weekend in camp, man, we was going into, when you training, man, or you have practice all week, and then you have that game on that Saturday, man, you know. So, you know, doing videos, studying, praying and fasting, you know, that's the practice. You know, when we got camp, you know, camp is that game time on Saturday, man. So if you ain't been practicing all week, man, you're not gonna be as sharp as you would be, you know, if you had your practice, man. You know, and that's studying, bro. You know, you have to be locked in, man. You have to be locked into this truth. You know, but the Most High is not dealing with you, man. The Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshua is not dealing with you. You know. Go to the book of Matthew chapter 7. This is Matthew chapter 7, verse 24. It says, therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man. Right, man? You know, don't just be a hearer of the word, you got to be a doer too. You know? It says, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. You know, that's that foundation of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man. You know, that solid foundation. It says, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And every one that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. Right, man? You'll be foolish, you know, to not hearken unto the words of Yahweh Shem Yahushai from his prophets, his mouthpieces, man. You know, you building your foundation upon sand. You know, brothers in the truth, we know what's going on, man. You know, we learned that from our elders and apostles, a great millstone, bro. You know, that strong, solid foundation. But y'all bypass, you know, what we preach, you know, on the highways and hedges, and y'all go into that Christian church, you know. They just want your money, you know. What you building your house on sand, man. You know. But that's pretty much it on this lesson, man. You know, I pray that you brothers, you know, and some sincere sisters listening, you know, edified. Until the next video. Shalom. A Ball.